So Halloween Kills will be released in cinemas in a month's time, so why not talk 5 reasons why you should be excited about the movie. Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Review. So Halloween Kills did of course finally get its big premiere last week at the Venice Film Festival. Now as we all know, the reviews were quite mediocre to say the least, and they were actually quite mixed. I think a lot of fans went into it expecting the reviews to be quite good, similar to the reviews from Halloween 2018, and instead they were heavily mixed. Now instead what I wanted to do is give you guys just 5 reasons why you should still be excited to go see Halloween Kills. Point number 1 is the title of the movie. Now this one of course is called Halloween Kills. It's right there in the title that if you kind of are going into this movie and not expecting to see a hell of a lot of blood, gore and carnage, you're going to be heavily disappointed. Both the producer and director of this movie and pretty much most of the cast have said for months now that this is going to be the goriest and most brutal slasher we've gotten of all time. The angle they've been going with for this one is that the middle chapter in this new trilogy is going to be the one that's just going to focus quite a lot on kills. Of course we have returning cast members, we still have the whole saga between Laurie, Strode and Michael Myers, but the big draw of this one in particular is going to be the murders that happen on screen. So I think going into this one, if you wanted at all to be reminiscent of the 1978 classic, that kind of suspense-filled stalking Myers storyline, you're not really going to get it overall. I think instead of that, it will be quite bloody, it'll be quite action-packed of course, but the body count will be much higher than any Halloween film we've gotten up until this point. So I do think it is best to go in thinking that first rather than hoping you're going to get that kind of slow-paced movie we got with the original film. With Halloween Ends, they have said already that is going to be a hell of a lot more contained. It's going to be a smaller story for sure, focusing on Michael and Laurie, whereas this one instead is really going to throw everything at the wall. It's going to give fans really what they wanted to see with Halloween 2018, which was a much higher body count. I personally prefer the tone and feel of the original movie. I like Myers when he does stalk, and the movie focuses on suspense over blood and gore. But I think with Halloween Ends, given that it's meant to be a lot more contained and a smaller story, I am expecting them to go down that route with the final chapter. Whereas with this one, especially when we finally have all 13 movies, this one is going to be the blood-soaked entry in the franchise. Point number 2 is returning cast members and flashbacks. So again, I think fans of the original movie will definitely be excited to see a whole bunch of returning characters, particularly characters we haven't really seen since that first movie. So we have characters like Lindsay Wallace, Tommy Doyle, Sheriff Brackett, all returning to the Halloween franchise, and quite a lot of them are the original cast members that played them in that first movie. As well as that though, I think for new fans of the series, it'll be a great way for them even to watch the first movie and even the 2018 movie before seeing this one, just to maybe catch up on the storyline, but also a great way to connect the dots and really kind of experience the entire universe of Halloween. I think diving into the trauma that each of these residents have had throughout the last 40 years, how that night in 1978 impacted them, will be quite exciting. As well as that, we of course have a flashback or maybe potentially multiple flashback scenes to that original night back in 78. Just as a fan of the series, honestly, if you had said to me 10 years ago that we were going to get that, I wouldn't have believed it. So I do think it is something to be looking forward to. It's something to be quite excited about. And again, it's something that critics probably weren't attached to. Point number 3 is John Carpenter's score. Now it's pretty much well known, John Carpenter is once again coming back for this one with his son to score the movie. Halloween 2018 was a huge hit when it was released, but one of my favourite things about the movie was actually the score. John Carpenter hadn't been involved in any other Halloween movie past I think Halloween 3. He was meant to come back with H2O along with Deborah Hill, but talks fell through at the time. So once this is all said and done, John Carpenter will pretty much be involved with quite a lot of Halloween movies, whereas only a couple of years ago he really had nothing to do with the series. Point number 4 is that Jamie Lee Curtis will be taking a back seat. Now after Halloween 2018, and particularly in the last 2 years, there's been a big vocal crowd of the Halloween community that have kind of said they are getting a little bit sick of Laurie Strode being involved in so much of the series. And I get it at times. She has pretty much been in most of the sequels, even though she's been killed off 2 to 3 times at this point. But I am excited to see what they do without her character. Now, of course, if you're a fan of Laurie Strode, she is still in this one. She is more of a side character than anything else, and instead they'll focus on the residents of Haddonfield. The Strode family will also still be involved in this one. I think given that it's a trilogy, and a trilogy particularly about Laurie and Michael, it makes sense to kind of stay around her family to keep her involved as much as they can. But it'll also be fun just to get more time with Michael, to see the carnage that he actually unleashes throughout the town of Haddonfield. So I think for fans who don't really enjoy Laurie Strode as much, that don't want to see as much of her character, it's probably the closest we are going to get to that up until this point. But as well as that, it'll definitely give us a taster of what a Halloween movie can be like without her. And point number 5, the impact of the slasher genre. I think when Halloween 2018 came out, because it was such a successful movie, it was pretty much the biggest box office slasher movie of all time, a lot of people expected the slasher genre to come back. Instead, that didn't necessarily happen. We got Black Christmas, which was a bit of a bomb at the box office, and of course we had a global pandemic to compete with. So I think maybe we could have gotten a lot of slasher movies throughout that whole time. We got Candyman that has just been released, but that's about it. Now we do have Scream coming up fairly soon, and we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the slasher boom that I think we all expected still hasn't happened. So it'll be exciting given that the pandemic is starting to wind down, just to see what will happen over the next few years, particularly if this movie is successful as well as Scream. So I am excited for that. And of course, just one random point, we are getting another Halloween movie. For fans of the Halloween films, 5 to 6 years ago, if you had said there would be a new Halloween trilogy coming out, I don't think anyone would have particularly believed it. This one, of course, is a middle chapter, so it's not going to have a concluding end that we're all going to expect. So I think going into it, you have to see it that way. You have to see it as what it's really saying on the tin. This one will be chock full of a hell of a lot of murders. It will of course have some character development, but again it will be a middle chapter waiting for that final conclusion between Laurie and Michael. But guys, are you excited to see the new Halloween Kills? Are you going to go see it in cinemas, or are you going to stream it at home? Make sure guys you let me know in the comments down below. Now as always guys, you can of course subscribe to the channel. Make sure guys you pop on your notification bell just so you don't miss another video. We are a little random around here with how we post videos, but if you do want to see more videos like this one, you can of course click any of those links down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.